On New Year's Eve, my wife Clara took our daughter to spend the evening with her first love. The three of them had dinner together, and later, she posted pictures of them with fireworks in the background on her social media. Their friends quickly liked and commented on the post. Someone eventually pointed out how strange it was that I hadn't said anything. I would normally have called her several times by now, especially after seeing a post like that. Clara wasn't worried, replying to the comment that she was sure I'd be calling soon. But midnight came and went, and she still hadn't received a call from me. Eventually, she couldn't help but call me herself to ask why I hadn't called them to come home. What she didn't know was that I was already on a train, leaving the city for good. From that night on, no one would be urging her to come home anymore. The day I left happened to be New Year's Day. Clara came down from the bedroom on the second floor, completely oblivious to the fact that I was in the living room packing my suitcase. As she was heading for the door, she told me, "I'm going to pick up Maya from my parents' house. We'll be spending New Year's Eve at Daniel's place, so you don't need to wait for us for dinner." She spoke in her usual directive tone, the one that left no room for discussion. 2 years ago, I would have immediately started an argument about it, but this year, knowing that I was about to leave, I felt a strange sense of calm. I just said, "Okay," without even looking up from what I was doing. Clara paused for a moment, looking a bit surprised by my lack of reaction, but she didn't ask any questions. She just nodded and left. The sound of the front door closing wasn't particularly loud, but it made me stop what I was doing for a moment. A week earlier, I had seen a post from Daniel on social media. He had bought a lot of festive decorations for the holiday and had taken a selfie in front of a window filled with lights and garlands. It was clear he was planning for another new year full of happy anticipation. Many people liked his post, most of them mutual friends of his and Clara's. One person commented, "Is Clara spending New Year's with you again this year? She's so good to you." Daniel didn't respond directly to the comment. He just replied with a cool-looking emoji, and a few minutes later, Clara liked his reply. I wasn't surprised by their interaction. After all, this wasn't the first New Year's Eve Clara had spent with him. To be precise, this was the third year in a row. There wasn't much I could do about it, given that Daniel was Clara's first love. Even though Clara and I had gone from being college sweethearts to a married couple, it felt like a cliched story was playing out in our lives. Ever since Daniel had returned to the city, it seemed like Clara was just settling for me and everything else. In the past, I would have thrown a fit about her plans, asking if she was really going to spend the holiday with him again. But this year, I didn't ask a single question. I just quietly went online, bought a train ticket back to my hometown, and left a signed divorce agreement on the table for her to find. I guess this was the end for Clara and me. The train ticket was for 7 in the evening. As I stood in our bedroom, I was contemplating whether to take our family photo from the nightstand with me when my phone rang. It was an unexpected video call from Maya, my daughter with Clara. She's 5 years old this year, and perhaps because she was primarily raised at her grandparents' house, she shares a similar cool and steady demeanor with her mother. When I answered the call, her young face, with eyes so similar to Clara's, filled the screen. The interior of the car behind her was familiar, which told me that Clara had already picked her up. Maya frowned at me through the phone and asked, "Daddy, are you upset again?" I looked blankly at her image on the screen, unsure how to respond. Before I could say anything, she continued, "Is it because we're spending New Year's with Daniel again? Like I told you before, Daniel is lonely on New Year's. He's not like you always have someone." She rattled on, repeating words she had said to me 2 years ago when I first found out Clara was taking her to be with Daniel for the holiday. I had a huge fight with Clara back then, and Maya had stood firmly by her mom's side, both of them looking at me with reproachful eyes. "Daniel is all alone," they had said. "He just wants some company for New Year's. Can't we just keep him company?" I argued back that if they were with him, then I would be the one who was alone. I hardly ever got to see Maya since she was growing up at her grandparents' house, and all I wanted was a family reunion to welcome the new year. But they looked at me as if I were an unreasonable, crazy person. Maya would stare at me like a little adult, her eyes full of complaints. In the past, her words and her gaze would have hurt my heart deeply. Now, that pain felt like nothing more than a mosquito biting significant. "Maya, I'm not upset," I told her, and I meant it. "If you want, Daniel can spend every New Year's Eve with you and your mom." Maya's face showed a flicker of surprise, then she pouted. "You're saying the opposite again. You always do this, but then you call us over and over to come home." I opened my mouth to say something else, but Maya had already passed the phone to Clara. The camera angle shifted, and in the dim light of the car, Clara's face came into view. Her features were clear and defined, veiled with the coolness of the winter evening. With a slight sidelong glance, she carried a hint of chilliness that I knew all too well. I swallowed the words I was about to say. "Is there anything else?" Clara asked, her voice indifferent. It was the same familiar tone she always used with me. There were many things I had wanted to say to her before, but now I just shook my head. No. Clara seemed momentarily stunned. She looked like she wanted to get a better look at me, but the traffic light turned green and the car started moving. I hung up the phone. In the end, I decided not to take the family photo. After packing all of my belongings, I casually left the house keys on the small table in the entryway. I had lived in this city for 6 years, and in the end, everything I owned fit into a single 26-inch suitcase. The winter air was biting, and the window of the taxi had a thin layer of fog on it. The driver, taking advantage of a break in the evening traffic, started a conversation with me. He asked if I was heading home for the holiday. "Why'd you get such a late ticket?" he asked, then joked, "If your home is far away, you might miss out on New Year's dinner." I played along, telling him it was a half-truth and that I couldn't manage to get an earlier ticket. But that wasn't the real reason. My initial plan had been for Clara, Maya, and me to drive back to my hometown together this year. Since marrying Clara, I hadn't been home in 6 years. Initially, it was because Maya was too young, and long-distance travel wasn't easy. But when Maya turned 3, Clara began taking her to visit Daniel for 2 consecutive New Year's holidays. I had really thought that Clara would remember my wish to go home this year, but Daniel's social media post was a stark reminder that she had forgotten again. So, I didn't hold on to much hope and just bought a train ticket for myself. I bought it a bit late, so the only one available was for today. The driver dropped me off at the train station at exactly 6:30. I grabbed my suitcase, went through the security check, and boarded the train. The city's lights were already twinkling on, and along the edge of the river, fireworks were beginning to light up the sky. They were beautiful. This was the first time I had ever experienced the city's New Year atmosphere like this. It felt both new and, in a way, relieving. I remembered the first couple of years after Clara and I got married. We were actually quite happy. We were newlyweds, and with Maya's birth, our home was filled with a sense of joy. Everyone seemed to have smiles on their faces, and even my in-laws' usual strictness towards me seemed to ease up a bit. But when did things start to change? Maybe it was when they insisted that Maya be raised at their house. After that, I had to call in advance every time I wanted to see my own daughter. The house that I had so carefully arranged for our family, in the end, was just a place for me and Clara. We went from being a couple who could talk about anything to a couple who had almost nothing to say to each other. My expectations for our life together dwindled over time. Now, the days I looked forward to most in a year were the holidays, when I could see Maya and spend more time with her. But while Maya was raised to be polite and well-behaved, she always felt distant from me. I used to think it was just because we didn't see each other often enough, but when I saw how she interacted with Daniel, I realized that connections don't necessarily grow stronger just because of blood ties. I saw Clara's New Year's post, just like the ones from the previous years. There were fireworks in the background and a photo of her with Maya and Daniel. Daniel looked handsome, Maya was adorable, and even Clara, who was usually so calm and composed, had a gentle look on her face with a slight smile. I thought about the family photo on my nightstand that I didn't take. The most recent one of us was taken a year ago on Maya's birthday, but I was the only one smiling in that picture. Clara and Maya had explained that they just don't like to smile for photos. I didn't think much of it back then. Maya takes after Clara, and Clara really isn't the smiling type. Seeing this new photo of them with Daniel, I felt a slight twinge of emotion, but nothing more. I considered liking Clara's post, but then I decided to read the comments first. Her post had only been up for about half an hour, but there were already a lot of comments. Some people misunderstood and thought the 3 of them were a family, wishing Clara happiness. Then there were the comments from Clara's friends, and a few of them caught my attention. One person wrote, "Clara is spending New Year's with Daniel again. Didn't Leo say anything?" Another commented, "It's weird. Clara posted this half an hour ago, and Leo hasn't reacted at all. Normally, he'd be blowing up her phone by now." Clara replied to one of them, "He'll call later." I froze for a second, thinking of the call Maya had made to me that afternoon. She had joked that I always called to urge them to come home. In the past, I might have. I would have called Clara to make sure she brought our daughter home after dinner. But I wanted to tell Maya that it wasn't just talk this year. I'm not going to call anymore. From now on, I'm not going to call them home. After seeing Clara's comment, I decided not to like the post. I didn't want them to think I was trying to hint at something. I turned off my phone. As the train rocked back and forth, I thought about my past with Clara, wondering how much longer it would be until I got home. It's only when you're leaving a place for good that you feel a sudden surge of emotions. I found myself reminiscing about me and Clara, from her sophomore year when she transferred to our high school to our time in college together. I had a crush on her all through high school and into college. She was a striking person. Her family background, her grades, her looks, everything about her was outstanding. I worked incredibly hard just to get into the same university as her. I watched from a distance as she and Daniel had a passionate relationship, and I was there when they broke up. I never expected that she would ever notice me. But fate can be funny sometimes, and one day, it opened a small window for a crush like me. I can still clearly recall the day Clara finally noticed my feelings for her. It was about 6 months after Daniel had gone abroad to study. Clara was participating in a major competition, and practically no one believed she would win, except for me. She ended up taking first prize. In the afterglow of all the cheers and celebrations, Clara walked straight towards me. "Leo," she said. "Yes?" I managed to reply. "I heard you were the first person to bet on me winning this competition," she said. She had just won the award, and all her confidence was shining brightly. I couldn't look her directly in the eye and just muttered, "I just believed in you." Clara chuckled. "I've seen you several times before. Aren't you always at these events?" I was stunned. I had watched Clara at many events like this, but I never dared to get too close. I always stayed hidden in the crowd, just another anonymous spectator cheering her on. I thought I had hidden it so well, but apparently not. I looked at Clara, my breathing light, too nervous to speak. Clara didn't say anything either. She just looked at me with her bright eyes and a smile that made my heart skip a beat. When Daniel had chosen to go abroad for his future, Clara was so heartbroken that she ended up in the hospital. Everyone thought that she would be down in the dumps for a long time after her heartbreak, but nobody expected that just 6 months later, she'd be with someone as unknown as me. We went from being a campus couple to getting married. People would joke that someone must have possessed Clara. Otherwise, why would she ever choose me? Even when Maya came along, people still gossiped about us. That gossip only stopped when Daniel came back. I could imagine them all shaking their heads, thinking of me as just some temporary obstacle in a grand love story. Now that the main character was back, I guessed it was time for me to make my exit. A minute past midnight, I woke up to the sound of fireworks exploding outside the train window. In the New Year's atmosphere, some people were moving around the train cabin, while others were whispering on the phone to their loved ones. My phone, which was under my pillow, started to buzz. It was Clara. Honestly, I was kind of surprised. Usually at this time she'd be busy with Maya and Daniel, staying up late to watch the fireworks. I would have been the last thing on her mind. But here she was, calling me. Did something happen to Maya? I wondered as I swiped to answer the call. "Hey." All I heard on the other end was quiet breathing. I thought it was just a bad signal and was about to speak again when Clara's soft voice came through. "Are you asleep?" I had a feeling that Clara wanted to talk about something, but I was still a bit surprised. She was skirting around the issue, which was not like her usual direct self. "No, what's up?" I kept my voice down, not wanting to disturb the other passengers in the cabin. Clara paused for a while, and then I heard her ask, "It's past midnight. Why didn't you call?" I was puzzled for a moment. Why should I call her? The confusion lasted only a second before it hit me. It was because of that social media post she had shared. It was funny because she used to hate it when I called her during New Year's. Even Maya had said that my calls killed the New Year's vibe. I didn't call this year, and yet, here was Clara, reaching out to me. Since she was the one who brought it up, I responded, "I didn't want to ruin your fun, so I didn't call." It was the truth, but Clara stayed silent for an even longer time on the other end. After falling out of love with her, I didn't want to waste any more time on her. "Anything else? If not, I'm hanging up." "Yes," she said quickly. "Maya wants to wish you a happy new year." "Maya?" That was unexpected. Usually, she was so busy having fun that I'd only get a quick greeting from her when she remembered to call during the holidays. This year, she was right on time. Despite my feelings about her growing up, my reply was pretty standard. Thanks. Wish her a happy new year too. Clara's connection was choppy, and I could barely hear her at times. Thinking it was just the signal, I was about to hang up, but then Clara suddenly called my name. Leo, she continued. After we visit my family, can Maya and I take you to the amusement park? An amusement park? I remembered that it was something I had mentioned a long time ago. It wasn't that I cared for the amusement park itself, I just wanted to find a way to bond with Maya. But Clara was always busy, and Maya thought the amusement park was too childish. The plans were postponed endlessly, until one day I saw a post on Daniel's account. It turned out it wasn't that they were too busy or that it was too childish, they had already been to the amusement park, and I wasn't the one they wanted to go with. No need, I replied. I have no interest in it anymore, now that there are no bonds to nurture. What did you say? The train was passing through a tunnel, and Clara probably didn't catch my words. I was about to repeat myself when I heard a deep male voice in the background. Clara, come on! Maya wants us to set off some more fireworks. His voice got closer. It was Daniel. I knew his voice well, especially over these past 2 years. It was etched into my mind. He seemed to notice that Clara was on a call. Are you on the phone? Is it Leo? Did he call asking you to come home? Yeah, but it's getting late. You should probably get home soon, or Leo will worry. There was a pause. I could imagine Daniel's concerned look paired with his kind eyes. Maya also said she wanted my special scrambled eggs in the morning. Clara must have covered the phone's speaker because Daniel's voice faded. I wasn't in the mood for eavesdropping, so I just hung up. Talking to her wouldn't change anything. By tomorrow, Clara would realize that I was gone, and then she would understand everything. I was curious, though. How would she react to my leaving? Would she just shrug it off? Or would she think that I should have done it a long time ago? Daniel's interruption of Clara's call to me annoyed her a lot. He didn't realize that she had been waiting for my call all night. Every year, around this time, if she and Maya weren't home yet, I would keep calling and video chatting, urging her to finish up her dinner with Daniel and bring Maya home. But this year, for hours after she posted that picture, even after midnight had passed, I didn't call or text. It wasn't like me at all. From the moment she posted the photo, something felt off, and with each passing minute, her feeling of unease grew stronger. Just past midnight, she finally found an excuse to call me, using the pretense of wishing me a happy new year. But just a few words into our conversation, Daniel interrupted the call. She was a bit annoyed inside, but she didn't let it show on her face. Daniel asked Clara what was wrong, and she brought up that Maya wanted to have his special egg custard for breakfast, hinting that they might stay over. But in reality, Clara didn't want to stay. She wanted to hurry back to me. I was probably waiting for her and Maya at home, just like in the previous years. No matter how late it got, I would always wait for them and wish them a happy new year, along with a thoughtfully prepared gift. Clara started to wonder what kind of gift I had in store for her this year. The thought brought a tinge of anticipation and warmth to her. She wanted to gather Maya and head home immediately, but Maya was full of energy, completely engrossed in playing, and reluctant to leave. I'm not going back. I want to stay with Daniel. Maya clung onto him, refusing to let go. He tried to persuade her gently. Clara, just let Maya stay the night. It's not like there's no room here. Are you worried about Leo getting the wrong idea? It's fine, we can explain it to him together. Daniel looked at her with his soft, pleading eyes. Exactly. Just talk to Dad. Maya chimed in. Looking at her child, Clara relented a bit. You have to message Dad. And then we'll head back right after breakfast tomorrow, okay? Maya agreed easily and sent me a voice message, but I didn't respond. Clara began to feel uneasy again but brushed it off, assuming I had fallen asleep angry. She thought that tomorrow, she would go back early and bring me a New Year's gift. I was always so gentle and forgiving. Even when I was upset, I was easy to cheer up. The next day, before she could head home, she got a call from her family. They wanted her and Maya to visit for New Year's greetings. All right, I'll go pick up Leo, Clara said. Why bring him? I'm not interested in seeing him, her father replied on the phone, his tone steeped in displeasure. Clara knew her dad had never liked me, mainly because of the discrepancies in our social statuses. But at the end of the day, it was our life. She loved me and wasn't concerned about social standings. Dad, he's still your son-in-law and Maya's dad. Not asking him to come doesn't feel right, she argued back. Her father scoffed. He doesn't act like he's part of this family. If he doesn't want to come, I'm not going to force him. Truthfully, I knew about her father's disdain for me. After previous arguments about Maya staying at their house, my visits had dwindled. Even if I went for Maya's sake, it was clear I wasn't welcomed warmly. Getting a bit of a headache, Clara said. I'll check with Leo. If I didn't want to go, she wouldn't push it. When she called me, I didn't answer. With her father urging her on the other end of the line, she just left me a message. There were quite a few relatives visiting at her family's home, and Clara, being one of the main figures in the family now, had social duties to attend to. Everyone adored Maya, so they ended up staying until the 4th of the month. All this time, I hadn't replied to any of her messages. By this point, Clara's unease had turned into a deep worry. Not heeding her father's pleas to stay longer, she took Maya and drove back to the home we shared. Upon opening the door, they were met with silence and darkness. Leo? Clara called tentatively from the hallway. Something wasn't right. No matter how late I was, I always left a light on for her. But now, the home was in complete darkness. Not a single light illuminated the space. Dad? Maya wandered towards the main bedroom but found no one there. She stood bewildered at the top of the stairs. Mom, Dad's not here. Where did he go? A chill spread from Clara's fingertips throughout her whole body. She scanned the home, feeling as if its owner had been gone for some time. An eerie stillness emanated from the empty rooms. I finally checked my phone on the night of the 4th and found 21 missed calls from Clara, all back to back. It seemed urgent, like something big had happened. When I called her back, she picked up immediately. Leo, where are you? Clara's voice sounded weary and raspy. Was it just me, or did she sound cautious too? I thought for a moment. You're home, I stated rather than asked. No wonder. It seemed Clara had returned to an empty house, which prompted her flood of calls. With that many calls, she must have seen the divorce papers I had left behind. I went back to my parents' house, I replied simply. When are you coming back? Clara asked. I paused, puzzled. Since she had clearly seen the divorce papers, why was she asking that? Didn't she get it? I'm not coming back, I said plainly. Clara, I'm not coming back. Just sign the papers, and let's part ways on good terms. What do you mean on good terms, Leo? Clara's voice sounded agitated. Weren't we doing fine? It turned out that in Clara's mind, this was what fine meant. I felt a sigh rise from within me and let it out. Clara seemed to realize something. Is it because I took Maya to celebrate New Year's with Daniel? Why, Clara? I had never used to ask her so many whys before, but now I replied with a sense of helplessness. Clara seemed to take my helplessness as a confirmation of her guess. Leo, I've told you many times, Daniel and I are not what you think. Clara. I cut her off. I don't care how things are between you and Daniel. I just know that I want a divorce from you. There was a sudden pause on the other end of the line, then complete silence. I told Clara not to call me again until she had signed the divorce papers. Clara's call had disturbed my sleep. I got up to get some water from the kitchen, and to my surprise, I found my dad still busy in there. Dad, why are you still up so late? I asked. I made you some late-night snacks, he replied, placing a bowl of steaming egg noodles in front of me. Try it. You haven't had this in years. See if it still tastes the same. He was bathed in the soft white glow of the kitchen light, and I noticed a few new strands of white hair on his head. A sense of bitterness welled up in my throat. When I was about to marry Clara, my dad had been against it. Beyond the differences in our family backgrounds, he didn't want me to move so far away, fearing that I'd have no one to support me if I was ever mistreated. In the first couple of years after marrying Clara, I tried to recreate the same noodle dish my dad used to make for me, but I could never get it to taste the same. I used the steam rising from the bowl to hide the moisture that was welling up in my eyes. It was all right now. From now on, I wouldn't leave his side again. My dad's simple gesture managed to lift my spirits, and I slept soundly until 9 the next morning. By the time I woke up, Dad had already opened the small convenience store he runs on the street corner. Tourists had been visiting our town a lot since the new year began. The weather was great, and by 10 o'clock, the town was filled with warm sunlight and a sense of peace. I went to the store entrance and called out, Dad! Two figures, one big and one small, turned around simultaneously. "Daddy!" Maya ran to me first. I was a bit startled as she threw her arms around my legs. She looked up at me with those big, bright eyes of hers. "Daddy, I missed you." Behind her, Clara stood with a calm and gentle expression, a slight smile on her face. "Leo." Once again, I was speechless, and my brow twitched in surprise. I was shocked by Clara and Maya's sudden arrival, but that surprise soon gave way to irritation. "What are you two doing here?" Clara didn't seem to notice my cold reaction and took my hand. "Sorry, Leo. We've had so many guests at home these past few days, so we came a little late." Just then, my dad came out from the back of the store with a plate of fruit. He had clearly seen Clara and Maya before I did. I had no idea how Clara had managed to win him over so quickly, but at that moment, my dad was all smiles. "Clara, Maya, come and have a seat." "Thank you, Dad," Clara said. "Thank you, Grandpa," Maya added. Usually so mature for her age, she was now being sweet and well-behaved. My dad was on cloud nine, the wrinkles around his eyes deepening with joy as he moved over to Maya. "Oh, sweetie, come here. Let Grandpa give you a hug. Look, here's your New Year's red envelope. Happy New Year, sweetheart. I wish you health and happiness." Maya grinned as she let him embrace her. He really liked Maya. Even though it was their first time meeting, his smile was genuine and infectious. This was the happiest I'd seen my dad since I had returned home. I knew why Clara was here. After our call last night, she must have driven straight over with Maya. She probably thought I was just upset and had run back to my hometown, and she was hoping that this grand gesture would calm me down. But it only made me more agitated. "Clara," I started, trying to keep my voice cool. I thought I had made things perfectly clear last night. But Clara interrupted me. "Leo, I drove for 5 hours. I'm exhausted." Her pretty brows knitted together lightly, her whole demeanor one of weariness. My dad overheard her and quickly chimed in, telling me to take Clara and Maya home so they could rest. I could see right through Clara's act, but looking at my dad, who was so completely immersed in his newfound joy, I didn't want to start an argument with her in front of him. I led Clara and Maya back to the house. The mother and daughter followed me, Maya holding onto Clara's hand. Clara seemed to be hesitating, wanting to speak, so after we got home, I found an excuse to have Maya go play in the other room so I could face Clara alone. I used to really like being with Clara, even when we weren't talking, but now, just seeing her only made me feel repulsed and displeased. It turns out that falling for someone is easy, but disliking them is just as simple. "Clara, what do you really want?" I asked, feeling a headache coming on, especially when dealing with her. "Leo, I'm not up to anything," Clara replied, looking at me. "I just wanted to bring Maya to see Dad." "You always said that Maya hadn't met her grandpa yet, didn't you?" I found her words laughable. I had mentioned it to her many times before, and every time she had ignored me. Now, suddenly, she was being proactive about it. I gave her a mocking look. Clara pressed her lips together. "Leo, don't look at me like that. I'm being sincere." The last thing I wanted from her was her sincerity. Clara and Maya's visit completely shook up the recent peace I had found, but I have to admit, because of them, my dad seemed happier than he had been in a long time. He adored Maya. He seemed to channel all the love he had for me onto Maya, and he liked her more and more with each passing moment. As for Clara, she was putting on the perfect daughter-in-law act in front of my dad. Even if my dad didn't say it out loud, I could feel how his attitude towards Clara had changed. Clara and Maya stayed for 2 days. As the end of the holiday week approached, my dad couldn't help but secretly ask me one day, "Leo, when are you all going back? Dad's got a ton of stuff ready for you to take with you when you leave." Clara was there when he said it. She didn't respond, but she looked over at me. "In a few more days," I said, "I want to spend a bit more time with you." I didn't make my answer sound final, and I saw a flash of joy on Clara's face. That evening, I had planned to have a serious talk with Clara, but I ended up overhearing a conversation between her and Maya first. "Mom, when can we go home?" Maya asked, looking unhappy and throwing a toy on the ground. That toy was a gift from my dad. He's not really good at cheering up little kids, so he had just bought her something he saw other girls in town playing with. Maya had been happy at first and had sweetly said, "Thank you, Grandpa." But now she was saying, "This stuff isn't fun at all. I miss Grandpa and Daniel." I want to go to the amusement park with him. Clara frowned a bit, but she was patient as she soothed Maya. Soon, she said. Once your dad's not upset anymore, we can go back. Just be a good girl for these next few days and don't make him mad, got it? Maya unwillingly nodded. Hearing that conversation left me feeling somewhere between amused and angry. Since the weather was nice, my dad suggested we spend a couple of days exploring the town. Little Leo used to love running all around this town when he was a kid. He laughed, telling Clara and Maya stories from my childhood. Clara listened carefully, sometimes looking over at me with a smile. Maya ran ahead of us, turning back now and then to see if Clara and I were keeping up. After the New Year's holiday, the town had calmed down, and its old slate paths had an almost serene beauty to them. Leo, you never told me about your childhood? Clara said, trying to break the silence between us. I glanced at her. I did, I replied. You just didn't like to listen, so I stopped talking about it. But now, for some reason, Clara promised, Leo, let's come here every year for a while. Her eyes were calm, but her words seemed almost funny to me. This was all just an act to make me less angry. Before I could respond, I heard Maya's excited shout from up ahead. Daniel! Daniel spread his arms wide to greet Maya as she ran toward him. Clara frowned and glanced at me out of reflex. When she saw that I had no reaction, she walked over to Maya. Maya, get down. Maya reluctantly moved away from Daniel's arms. Clara asked why he was here, and he casually responded, I'm just traveling around this area. I heard you were staying here. What a coincidence. It sure was a coincidence. Out of all the places in the world, Daniel just happened to choose this small town. Clara looked at me again, and as Daniel followed her gaze, his smile broadened. Leo, I didn't expect to see you here, Daniel said with a spark of triumph in his eyes. I didn't get to wish you a happy New Year the last time Clara and I talked on the phone. He brought up that call from New Year's Eve. I heard that you and Clara had some kind of misunderstanding because of me, and you came back here. If that's true, then I'm really sorry, Leo. We're all good friends, me, Clara, and Maya. I was just alone for New Year's, so they came to keep me company. I'm sorry to have left you alone at home. His apology sounded so genuine. Before I could say anything, Maya took Daniel's hand and said, It's okay, Daniel. My dad's just like that, but he's not mad anymore, right, Dad? She looked at me, and I noticed her complete ease around Daniel, an ease that I had never managed to achieve with her. Well, nowadays, I don't really hope for that either. I'm not mad, I said with a soft chuckle. After all, there aren't many people as eager as Daniel to take care of someone else's wife and kid. Daniel picked up on my sarcasm. His smile froze for a second but quickly returned. He turned back to Maya, who then invited Daniel to join us. My grandpa grew up around here, she said. He knows this place really well. He could be like our guide. Clara frowned but didn't have a chance to respond. Is that so? That would be a great help, Leo, Daniel said with a slight smile. So, Daniel joined our group, effortlessly keeping me on the sidelines and showing off his close relationship with Clara and Maya. Clara, this place is beautiful. Snap a picture of me and Maya here, he said, standing by an old bridge with Maya. Clara took the photo. Let's take one with the three of us, Daniel then suggested, scanning the area around us and finally looking at me. Leo, would you mind taking a group photo for us? Clara gave me a look, about to say something, but I had already agreed. Sure. Daniel smiled. Clara frowned, looking at me intently. After I was done, Clara suddenly said, Leo, let's take a family photo. I declined. Nah, I'm not really into photos. Clara opened her mouth but said nothing, her eyes heavy with unspoken words. Later that night, Clara knocked on my door. Leo, what's up? I asked. She pressed her lips together. Steve, coming over. It wasn't my idea. She rarely explained herself like that. I already knew that. Clara knew exactly where the rift between us was. There was no way she would let Daniel come around right now. I know, I said. I was the one who called him over. I said it outright. Clara looked up at me, visibly confused. I stared back at her, seeing my own reflection in her eyes, wearing a cold smile. Clara, have you ever wondered how I've been feeling all these years while you, Maya, and Daniel were playing happy families? Clara went pale, probably thinking of the day's events. We were supposed to be a family of three, but Daniel, Maya, and Clara were way too comfortable with each other, even with me there to witness it. When I'm not around, who knows how people see them? Maybe she just lets them assume whatever they want, just like with that New Year's post she made. I didn't, Clara insisted, but the reality was clear. Even if she tried to hide it, little things kept slipping through the cracks. I looked at Clara and said calmly, "Don't worry, I'm not mad. If Maya and Daniel get along so well, and he ends up being her stepfather, it's all good." "Leo!" Clara interrupted sharply, her dark eyes blazing with a mix of wetness and fury. "I never planned to divorce you! Then do you want me to just keep watching you, Daniel, and Maya play house?" "Clara, you can't have it both ways." "I don't, Leo. The one I love has always been you. But I don't love you anymore." Clara fell silent abruptly. The color drained from her face, like water slowly seeping from a cracked glass. I could clearly see the broken and wet gleam in her eyes. I might as well spell it out for her. "Clara, I don't love you anymore. The year I married her, I thought I would have to spend my whole life with her. I ignored all the gossip and chose her firmly. But I forgot that some paths are just too hard to walk alone. I married Clara, and I felt her indulgence and love now and then, but it was never consistent. It felt more like charity, a little bit more when she felt like it, and nothing at all when she didn't. I had been fooling myself for way too long." "What about Maya?" Clara asked, her eyes filled with sadness. "She's our kid. Are you going to leave her too?" I stayed silent for a moment. "Maya isn't my child, she's yours. And I think she might prefer to have Daniel as her dad over me." Clara wouldn't believe it. That night, she left my room looking lost and broken. The next day, Maya wanted to visit the other side of town. I didn't go with them. "Go ahead," I said. As soon as I said it, Maya bounced excitedly toward Daniel, who was waiting at the door. "Daniel, Dad's not coming, but we're still going to have fun." Clara watched Maya and Daniel together, their interaction painfully sharp for her to witness for the first time. She followed them out. I thought it would be like always, me not being included, and the three of them having fun. But an hour later, Clara came back with Maya, who was crying uncontrollably. Daniel was nowhere to be found. "Mommy's mean!" Maya sobbed, her nose red and her little face flushed with anger. Clara's face was stormy. It was the first time I had ever seen them fight, and it was surprising. "What happened?" I asked. Clara didn't answer. I asked Maya instead, but instead of answering, she pushed my hand away. "I don't want you." "Maya!" Clara scolded sharply. I was confused. A few minutes later, I got the story. Clara and Maya had been out with Daniel, having a good time, until Daniel offered Clara a taste of his onion cake, which he had already bitten into. Clara didn't take it well. She shoved it away disgustedly and said, "You're gross." Daniel lost his balance, and his face fell at her words. "Mom, what's wrong? Why did you push Daniel?" Maya had rushed to help him. Clara realized that Daniel was overstepping his boundaries and tried to hide her disgust, but she told him firmly to stay away from their family, saying that he was a nuisance. Daniel looked shocked, and Maya protested loudly, "Mom, what are you talking about? Daniel doesn't bother us at all. We always have fun together." Everything they had ever said about getting along so well turned into knives stabbing at Clara's heart. Her hands clenched, and a dark shadow seemed to engulf her. "Oh, I see," I sighed. Seeing Maya crying, I softened a bit. "Maya, don't cry. Don't pretend to care. If you hadn't come back, this wouldn't have happened." That wasn't what I expected to hear. Maya was unusually distant today, her eyes flaring with blame and resentment, a look I knew all too well. But I was innocent this time. I hadn't done anything. Clara, however, was already upset with Maya for being disrespectful to me, and now this was the second time. "Maya, what are you saying? Honestly, we were doing just fine without you. You left me at Grandpa's when I was a kid. You never really did your job as a dad. I like Daniel. I don't like you." Maya yelled at me, feeling wrong. I was caught off guard, not knowing how to react for a moment. Clara was already holding on to Maya tightly. "Who taught you to say this?" Maya stayed silent, pouting with teary eyes. I felt a wave of numbing exhaustion wash over me, but then a strange sense of relief hit me. If that's the case, then that's good. I knelt down to meet Maya's gaze. In that look, I held all the feelings I had for her, yet in the end, I only said one thing. "Actually, I don't really like you either." Maya froze, staring at me blankly. I smiled at her. So, let's just not meet again. Leo. Clara's voice trembled. I told her, Clara, you can leave now. Clara had thought that taking Maya with her would be a way to keep me, but in the end, her presence became the final step that ended our relationship. Years ago, when Clara had agreed to let Maya be raised at her parents' home, I wonder if she ever thought that this decision would one day become the knife that severed the bond between us. I hold no guilt towards Clara or Maya. If anything, they were the ones who betrayed me. But now, I've broken free. The day Clara took Maya away was the 8th of the month. My dad didn't know about what had happened between Clara and me. He was always kind to her and Maya, telling them to come visit whenever they could. Clara gave me a look, hiding the bitterness in her smile. Okay. Maya sat in the back seat of the car. The car window blocked her figure and face from my view. She was still mad, maybe waiting for me to coax her, but I didn't care anymore. I told Clara to make sure she signed the divorce papers. This is the last thing I'm asking you to do. Don't let me down. Clara stayed silent, her eyes quietly turning red. Leo, I can't take you away, can I? No. A month later, I divorced Clara without a hitch. Half a year later, my dad learned about it. He was shocked and asked me why I hadn't told him what I had been through. I simply told him that I didn't love her anymore. Though my dad sighed in regret at the time, with time, he stopped mentioning it. The reason he didn't say anything was because every winter and summer break, Clara would bring Maya to see him. Although during those times, for some reason, I was never around. I heard that after Clara and I divorced, she went back to her parents' home and had a huge argument with her father. Then, she took Maya and moved out to live on their own. I thought she would marry Daniel, but she didn't. Daniel went abroad again for some reason. Clara deleted all her social media posts with Daniel and Maya celebrating New Year's and used an old picture of the two of us together as her background photo. Lots of people noticed and messaged me to tease me about it. Their tone was no different from when they used to flatter Daniel and Clara for celebrating New Year's together. When the messages started to pile up, it got a bit annoying, so I pinned a simple divorce notice on my profile. Divorced. Do not disturb. Everyone was stunned, except for a few who had some idea of what was going on. As for Maya at first, she didn't know that Clara and I were divorced. When she returned to Clara's side, she kept asking about me. Where's Dad? Why isn't he back yet? Clara would initially stay silent, but Maya kept asking. Finally, Clara told her, Dad's not coming back. Why? Clara didn't answer. Upset, Maya found Clara's phone and sent me a voice message. Dad, when are you coming back? Later on, Maya learned what separation and divorce meant. I heard that she cried a lot and wanted to see me, but in the end, she never did. Finally, Clara would occasionally bring her to my hometown. Those years, the winter and summer breaks became Maya's most anticipated days, just like they once were for me.